Good afternoon, everyone. This is Joshua Carmona, and we have Kate Campbell with us today with Jumpstart Your Business webinar series, part 3. We're going to be talking today about creating web forms and learning how to use them and why, and how to create broadcast lists as well. We'll have a question and answer series after each slide. So just type your questions into the chat, and then we'll be answering them all after we've discussed each part, like creating web forms, and then we'll answer questions, and then creating broadcast lists and using them, and we'll have questions. We'll answer your questions there as well. So let's get on with it. We have Kate with us today from the Credit Law Center. Say hi, Kate.
Hi.
And obviously, you've got me on the call with you as well. And I'll be leading the call with web forms and broadcast lists today. And Kate will be accompanying me on the webinar today. So let's jump right into it, and let's talk about web forms. Now, what is a web form? In Score CEO, a web form is a way to connect any type of digital property, like let's say a landing page, a web page, an email, anywhere that supports HTML code to your websites, to your landing pages, to your emails, so that you can have customers enter their information and you can capture their information and you can send it directly to Score CEO. And depending on how that customer is added, it can create some automation after that if you so wish to do so. Let's get into showing you what a web form is. And I've got Brian Blackmore's portal. He's one of our customers, and we demo his portal quite a lot. And he's given us permission to do so. So let's take a look at some of his web forms. This is Brian Blackmore's website, and he's got a sign up now form. This sign up now form was created under the referrals area, under form snippet, and it is the BK Credit Consultants website lead form. So this form, which has been created for him, and we'll go ahead and create one in a minute, basically is a web to lead form. He's got a return URL, so it returns back to his website after it's a successful submission. If it's an unsuccessful submission, that means it's got a bad email or something is wrong with the email. It'll take you back to the error URL, which could be the same depending on how you want to strategize where the customer goes after they've opted in. And then he's got the form name, and he's also choosing to select a payment model plan for them. Okay, so he's automatically selecting his payment model plan, and he wants the customer to go ahead and receive the new lead nurturing campaign that's deployed with Score CEO by default. Now, remember, that's a campaign that you all can edit and customize to yourself, but you can choose from any form to either trigger that new lead nurturing campaign or not. And the reason why is because you may have a different need. Maybe this form is really talking to customers and not to leads, or talking to referral partners and not customers or leads. And therefore, you might not want to send them new lead nurturing campaign information. We have the ability to enable reCAPTCHA as well. What is reCAPTCHA? It's a way to basically try to bypass bots that are trying to enter false information onto your forms and spam your email service. And they do that by detecting forms that don't have reCAPTCHAs on them. And we use Google reCAPTCHA. So on a form like this, if you wanted to add a reCAPTCHA to it, you can edit the form and fundamentally just enable the reCAPTCHA, and you would need to enter the reCAPTCHA information itself and what the IP was for that form. And that's it. That in order to do that, you need to register your reCAPTCHA account with Google, and that's an individual thing. If you have any doubts on how to do that, you can always reach out to Jasmine on the chat, and she'll show you how to do that with Google. But this is something that's free, and you should do it with all your forms because it protects you. We will detect if you're being spammed, because we'll see an abnormal amount of email going through, and we'll probably interact with the CRO. And sometimes we might turn off the email service until that problem is taken care of. So though we support reCAPTCHA, and we're giving you the option to use it, I would not create a web form without the reCAPTCHA. You have also the ability to select a partner as well. So let's say you want to create a landing page for a partner with your website designer or developer, and you want to have just a page for him so that he can give to his customers, and they can fill out a form and send out that send that information over to Score CEO and be tied back to himself as a referral agent. And maybe you can even tie that back to the salesperson that's attached to that referral agent. Depends on how you have that configured in your Score CEO portal. You have the power to select any of your partners here. So it will basically a person that enters their information into this form will fundamentally have the selected partner automatically attached to them as they would the payment model plan. Since this is an active form, we're not going to touch that, but later on we'll show you how you can do that. When you save this form, it's going to generate HTML code. Now, this HTML code is default is unstructured HTML code. That means it's not pretty. It's going to be basically just a form with the headers and a place to enter information, but it's not beautiful. It's unstructured. But you can give this code to a web developer, and they can go ahead and do something like Brian has done and create a better form around it, which is this. Right, he's created a whole page with a form, and now customers that are added here, and we can go ahead and see how that works. Let's enter some information here, and let's submit this form. When we get this form, it takes him to his next page, or to his thank you page that's defined in Score CEO, which is an actual page on his website. So we did this for BK Credit as well, so that he can inform more. He can help more of his customers, really guide them through the sign up process and have as few touches as possible without sacrificing his closing ratios. Having said that, let's go ahead and see how that customer would show up in Score CEO. If we go back to leads and consumers, we can see that Joshua 234 test has been added. If I want to see what form that came from, all I have to do is go to the new lead nurturing area, and I can see which form it came from, and it came from the BK Credit Consultants website lead form. Does that make sense to everyone? Great. So let's talk about what other types of forms to use, right? So we talked about web forms, and there's another way to use a form in Scores here that's already pretty much done for you, and that done for you form is the referral link form. And let me show you where you go to with that. So if we go here to any of the portals, this is a real good tool for anybody to generate referrals quickly, by giving out a link. If you go to any user inside Score CEO, that means one of you as a user, your employees are users, your customers are users, and your leads are users, as well as your referral partners, they're users as well. They just have different type of access and different portals, but they all have this same option. They all have the referrals page. And there's a code here which is unique to every user that will bind back to Score CEO, and we'll know that is that user's link. So we can see that Brian Blackmore is that user's link. So let's copy that, select the link and copy it. And then let's place it inside of a browser and see what that does. That brings up a form for somebody to enter their information. And I'll put in some Unreal data. And last name, test, email, let's call it test12357 at gmail.com. Let's enter a zip code and let's go ahead and save, and a phone, and let's save this form. What should happen here is that form should automatically send this lead to Score CEO. So that's a quick way. We've got two people here now. It's a quick way to go ahead and create a new lead from a specific form. And the lead source now is other because it basically came from a custom form. So as you can see, you have two ways of adding customers through web forms. One is by fundamentally creating your own web form. And we'll go here to referrals, go to form snippets, and create our new web form. We choose web to lead. We give it a return URL and an error URL, and we give it a name. Okay, we can go ahead and give this its own forms. We can select the plan if we want. And why would we do that? Just to remind you, let's say you have a page that has 3 different offers in your monthly credit repair sales pitch, right? And you want those 3 offers to be on your website. Each one of the buttons below each of the menu offers could constitute a different call to action, which could be tied back to an individual form. So if you had a good, better, best option within your monthly recurring revenue programs, or you had pay per delete and monthly recurring revenue, you can distinguish each of those plans with a description for each one and have them assign the appropriate plan to that. You can tell the customer, you can tell the form that every lead that comes in on that form as well will participate or not participate in the new lead nurturing campaign. And you can also enable your reCAPTCHA. You can also add a partner and select a partner from here as well. Or you can disable the form if it was already created, and let's say you just got massively hit by spam because maybe you didn't enable reCAPTCHA and you want to disable the form. You can do so by just disabling any content coming from that form, and you can do that quickly by clicking on disable. One thing we didn't talk about the first time around was adding tags and removing tags. This is a new feature in Scorcio, and Kate went over adding and removing tags on the previous call. Having said that, if you have a form that you want to, for example, let's say call it, let's say Bronze Monthly, and you want to create a tag called Bronze Monthly or Bronze, you can go ahead and create a tag like that. So let's go ahead and create a tag, and let's call it Bronze Test Monthly. And then give it a description, test tag. Bronze Monthly. And let's save that. So now I've tagged has been saved successfully. Now I should be able to go ahead and select that tag, Bronze Test Monthly. And now every single time somebody fills out this form from, let's say this, like I showed you earlier with let's go back to the BK site and go to sign up now. Like they're filling out one of these forms, right? And they're adding themselves to your CRM. Anytime we do that, we can add a tag as well. And remember, if you recall, on our webinar last week, Kate showed you how to tag customers and also bind a tag to a campaign that triggers an automation which you define, which can be sending emails, creating tasks by creating a to-do, creating an automated a manual note, or sending a text message. All of those things can be done within there, as well as adding and removing tags as well. So you can basically add a customer to a specific campaign based on the tag that he has. Or you can just classify that customer by categorizing him as bronze test monthly. And when you search for that customer inside the leads and customer lookup page, you'll be able to search easier, right? Because he'll be tagged that way. You can group your leads or your customers like that, right? So these are ways to add tags and remove tags to get fancy with your automation. And this way you can either classify, or you can go ahead, classify, and trigger campaign automation through Score CEO. Having said that, does anybody have any questions on up until now on how to use a referral link, or how to use a web form, and when to use a web form? I can't see the questions, Jazz. So if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and just ask away. Awesome, no question. So one more thing that I'd like to say is that, the referral link has its purposes, right? You can use that easily on social media. So if you post that link to any social media, if they click on it, it'll take them back to a form. So like I showed you earlier, if we go to the referrals tab for the user Brian Blackmore, he's got his own code. You can go ahead and post to Facebook and to Twitter using this, but it's a very limited interaction on what you include on that post. But let's say you just want to include a link and have your own custom image and your own custom content on there. Just use the link, select the link, copy and paste it, post it on social media, and once a customer clicks on that link, it'll take them to this page and they'll fill out the information, and that information gets passed on to Score CEO like we showed you earlier. Okay, questions till now? Awesome. Let's go ahead and discuss broadcast lists. This is a new feature in Score CEO. We were being asked by our customers, which in the past we only had system triggers, which basically automated campaigns based on an event that was either successful or unsuccessful, or something that happens within the portal. Like if the customer, a new lead is created or a payment has failed. Those are system triggers, and we can trigger automation based on those events when they occur for any lead, for any customer. Having said that, we were consistently asked, well, how do I create a campaign that's proactive? And tags accomplishes that ability to do that. But sometimes you may have fixed lists of customers that you want to select on the fly, or create a permanent list and create what we call a broadcast list and message those customers as you keep aggregating those leads or customers to the list. We call that broadcast lists. Okay, so now proactively, you can go ahead and create campaigns that broadcast that information to the customers that have successfully opted in to your campaigns when they opened up their customer or lead portal. Let me show you how we do that by creating a broadcast list in Score CEO. If we go to broadcast lists, you can create broadcast lists from two areas: from either going to the configuration bubble and selecting broadcast lists, or by going to the leads and customers page and adding or selecting a list of customers from a page. So if I select all here, you can see I have 10 selected. But let's say I want to go to the next page, and I want to also select all on the next page. Now I have 20 selected here. So if I decrease one, 19 are selected. If I uncheck this one, 18 are selected. And I can do two things here. I can add a tag to the selected customers that I've just selected, or I can add it to a broadcast list. And if I don't have an existing broadcast list that I want to append to, I can create a brand new list. So these are the two things I can do. Let me create a new list here, and let's call this the test Jumpstart web list. And let's just send monthly. And let's hit create an ad. What that should do now is that it should add 18 contacts. It should create a list and add 18 contacts to that list. So where do I see who they are? If I go back to broadcast lists and I see the list name, which was just created, and I'm logged in as Brian, so it's got the description. It tells me how many people are on that list, and we have 18 people. If I want to see the detail list, I can just click on view, and it'll show me the list of each of the customers, the billing status, their lead source, and their lead status, and some contact info as well. So I can see who is on that list, when it was created, by whom it was created, and what type of contact type it's directed to. Well, when I can create this campaign list, what do I do with it? Well, I can go ahead and when I create automation, I can create automation in campaigns. And when I create a brand new campaign, I can go ahead and create a test campaign. I'm going to mark this as a system campaign, and the campaign type is going to be a broadcast list. I'll give it a description. I'll hit next, and now I should be able to search from the list of broadcast lists that I have, and we just created the test JS web list, and I can choose that. So now, anytime I add a customer to this broadcast list, once this broadcast list is live and ready to go, I can go ahead and create the campaign that's going to be associated to it. And let's say the first one is an email, and let's call it an intro email. And let's just choose a test template. And if I click, this is going to come from the CRO admin, and it's going to go to everyone. And I want this to go out on day 0, which is immediately. Let me add a secondary step, and it's going to be add or remove the tag, apply a tag or remove a tag. And I want to add a tag. And maybe I want this to happen on day 2, and I can give it another name, and I can select what tag I want to apply. And let's call this bronze test monthly. Okay, and I can finish my campaign. So what that's going to do is that it's going to send an email on day 1 and on day 0, which is the day that it starts, and then the following day it's going to remove a tag from that customer, which could take them out of another campaign that they may be opted into. Or if you add a tag, you can add them to another campaign, so you can get very sophisticated. Once again, whenever you create a campaign, remember that campaign is always off until you edit it and start it when you complete it. So we can edit and start this campaign, and what that's going to do is that anybody attached to that list will be added to that campaign. If I want to pause the campaign, I can go ahead and pause that campaign immediately. Okay. Questions until now on broadcast lists. We discussed how to add how to add customers and create lists from the lead consumer page. And you can also do it from the broadcast list campaign, and you can create a new list here, and you can create another campaign if you want. Give it a description and a user type. Does it go to CRO, to the agent, or the consumer? So those are 3 contact types that you can create broadcast lists for. What are customers using this for? They're using it for newsletter distribution, for blog distribution, for one-off event distribution, right? So they've got a seminar that they're giving for first-time home buyers, or a seminar that they're giving for to explain to human resources departments the ability for employees to perform better once if they have better credit, that sort of thing. So you would use broadcast lists, and that's the way they're being used now, in that way or in that manner. This very easy way to group customers, select customers, and keep them on a list, and continue to add customers. By selecting them either in a group selection or one at a time, as they're added either as leads or customers, or however you wish to engage them based on the content you have within your campaign when you've created it. Does anybody have any questions right now before we go into adding a contact to a list and deleting a contact from a list and reviewing a broadcast list once it's already been created? Awesome. So let's go to the JS list right here. And
there's a few questions in the chat. I don't know if you want to take a look at them.
Well, go ahead and voice them out. I don't have two screens today.
Okay. So I'll go into the last one. It says, any best practice for a broadcast? Like, what's too many times to contact? What is not enough?
Wow, that's a really good question. So I would say that as long as the customer is not opting out, you contact them as much as you can. Obviously, you need a frequency, right? If it's an email to promote something, like a marketing email or something like that, I would not contact customers every day for the life cycle of that campaign. Maybe on the first 2 or 3 contacts, you can contact them every day, and then move to every other day, or then move to every other week. It really depends on what you're selling, but you don't want to alienate them. I don't know if you've noticed that sometimes when you opt in to these services, or that you may be interested in, when you get new emails every day for the first couple of days, it's okay because you're highly engaged. But after that, if that continues, it becomes a burden for you to even clean your inbox, because you've got to read this content every day, and it might turn your customers off, and they might unsubscribe. So I would say the rule of thumb there is contact them as much as you can without them opting out of your campaigns. And they can opt out at the bottom of the email that they receive from those campaigns when you're engaging them. I don't know if that answers your question, but there is no real rule of thumb other than alienating the customer.
I'll add to that real quick as something that I learned from my boss, actually, because I feel to be a little bit more conservative, and I don't like to burden them and throw a whole bunch of information and bother them a lot, because I don't want those unsubscribes. But then my boss told me to go to Lexington Law's website and sign up and see how often I get contacted there. And I was shocked at how often I was receiving a text message every single day. I was getting emails every other day. And so not that I am saying Lexington Law is a great model to go off of, but they are the largest one out there. And if they're doing it without worrying about the unsubscribes, it let me know that it's okay to reach out a little bit more than I originally felt comfortable to do.
That's a great point, Kate. Yeah, and just at Score, if you opt into one of our, I guess, to many of different pages that we have to opt in, you're probably going to get an email the first day, maybe a day after that. Jasmine, you work a lot with Infusionsoft along with Ariana and Almas. How would you say your frequency is, in your opinion, on how you contact customers without thinking that you're alienating them?
So in my opinion, it would just depend on what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to promotion, if we're promoting our non-clients, for example, to leads, then we try to keep it to at least 3 to 4 times a month promoting a product. But to our leads also, we promote educational information to bring them in through that way versus pitching them what we, instead of pitching them a price or something like that, we prefer to pitch them with knowledge and then drag them in that way, or bring them in with the knowledge, and that we do it at least twice, 2 to 3 times a week.
So
it
so
just
if you really
varies.
think of, yeah, so and then now you just mentioned a great point, and that adds to your point, Kate, is that you may think that on one broadcast list or one campaign that you create that ties back to a broadcast list, that's just one list, but over time you're going to create a series of lists, and you're going to have a series of web forms in combinations with those lists as you keep aggregating new inbound digital marketing strategies, right? Well, maybe I have just a sign up form first, but maybe and then I have a referral landing page, or maybe you hold a webinar for your first time home buyers, or you hold a webinar for down payment assistance for your customers, right? All of these things are services that you're giving. Those are your lead magnets, right? And those forms are going to be kicking back to Score CEO. When you start adding all of these things that may be creating some sort of communication with the customer or the lead, you may have multiple campaigns, and you will have multiple campaigns releasing multiple emails for multiple reasons to these customers. So you have to be cognizant of that. In 1 week, and if you've been receiving emails from Score, you're going to probably get a blog email. You're probably going to get a webinar email, and you may get another nurturing email for some other product and service like Jasmine was mentioning. But you may be subscribed to all three. And those three may be sent now, instead of one email, because of one campaign, you may be receiving 3, 4, 5 emails. And you just have to see if your customers start opting out at an abnormal level, well, then you want to go ahead and maybe curtail the contact back a bit, and change the timing on your campaigns or edit your campaigns. I hope that makes sense, because that's a very complicated, or that's a very difficult question to answer, because there is no one strategy around it. It really depends on what you're saying, who your target audience is, and how many times are you engaging them through other inbound digital marketing strategies that you have. But Kate said something that just rocks. If you go to creditrepair.com or Lexington Law, which are fundamentally the same company, you'll see that if you opt into one of their sites, they'll keep hounding you for about a week or two, almost every day to every other day. And then after that, at least once a week for a few weeks, if not like a month or two. And they're very aggressive. Are there any other questions, Jazz?
Just let y'all know, for some reason, I can't chat right now. It says chat's only available during the meeting. I can see everything you guys are saying, but I can't talk back. So, Dee, that's why I have not answered you on there yet. But I also wanted to mention that you can set your different campaign categories, and you can set those to specify how often they will be getting emails. Daily this, monthly marketing, weekly credit tips, stuff like that. And when they sign up for that portal, it's going to list all of those different campaign categories, automatically opt them into all of them, and obviously allow them to opt out. So if they don't want to get a daily message from you, they can opt out from it that way. So instead of kind of leaving it up in the air and just seeing if they like that, you can give them also options, so that way it'll lower your opt-outs.
Yeah. So when you that great point, Kate. What Kate is saying is that these are your campaign categories, and what are these for? When your clients sign up and we send them as a lead, and we're probably the only portal, the only CRM that does that. We send every lead in Score CEO an opportunity to sign up. And during that sign up, they do two things. They accept your end user agreement as a CRO, which is branded to you. And they also accept the default categories, or selectively choose to opt out of the categories that are there. So if your customers are opted in, to those categories. And when you're creating new campaigns, remember that you've got to select a campaign category. So if you selected, let's say, a marketing email, if they're not opted into that new campaign and they've unselected marketing emails as a mode of emails for them to receive and approve that at the beginning of the relationship, then Score CEO will automatically send them an email for them to select whether or not they are who they say they are and they want to receive the following campaign. That happens in the background for you, but that is one of the ways that Score continues to keep up with compliance and how it follows the rules of the Email Can Spam Act for the United States, as well as GDPR for Europe. But we really don't have to worry about that because we're not there. We're not marketing to Europe, and we're not installing Score CO in Europe yet. Any other thing that we can answer or question that there may be that we've not covered, Jasmine?
There was just a question for Kate that says, Kate, you track all of it with a spreadsheet, right? Like a naughty list?
I laughed when I saw that. I'm like, that's the thing that people picked up from my last webinars is my honestly, we are just now starting to use Score. We went live June 1st, so I have not jumped in personally and started using all these. That's why our fearless leader, Josh, is the one doing all the talking today and not me. But in the past, yes, I definitely track who we get responses from and that sort of thing. I've been able to click responses and open rates, and the analytics here in Score though are pretty awesome as far as if they've opened the emails and things like that too. So I haven't jumped in there and done it with Score yet, so I can't speak too much of it. But yes, in the past, I definitely have tracked that stuff.
So you have stats here that you can see how many people have opened emails, how many people have clicked emails, how many people. There's just a bunch of different campaign filters that you can do to filter them all, right? How many have had emails sent, right? And these are all based on webhooks, right? These webhooks are connecting to your Mailgun account, which we normally set up for you at the beginning of the relationship. And that Mailgun account is basically going to hook back to all of these, and you'll know who's been unsubscribed and who's been rejected and who's been delayed, who's been marked as spam, what emails have bounced. You can do all of this. This is one way for you to see some statistics there, right? One second. I don't know if can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Loud
Hello?
and clear.
Yeah, I've been having some issues with my internet connection this morning. Bear with me. Is that you or is it me? Jasmine, can you verify? Hello?
Let me see on my end. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, there's a lag on how I'm. By the time you responded, there's a lag between you and I, so I'm thinking it's me that's the problem.
You sound good to me. I would just close and reopen just in case you lagged for a moment and it stayed stuck for a minute.
There you go. Okay. So the other way to look at how this is that if we have a customer here, right? Let's go to William Levies Jr. and we go to the campaigns here, we can see really some really detailed information. We can see what active campaigns they're currently subscribed to or enrolled into. And we can also see the completed campaigns that he's gone through these 3 campaigns. And if I want to see the new lead nurturing campaign, I can go to details and see when he received 11 of these emails, on what dates they received them, right? I can also go back and see what campaigns are pending, and I can see all of the campaigns. Now, you can see that if the customer is unsubscribed to a campaign, if they're subscribed to a campaign, it'll show you the detail of that campaign. Or you can subscribe the customer to that campaign if they're not subscribed to it. They're normally subscribed to, for example, if I go to Memorial Day campaign and hit subscribe, consumer has been subscribed to that campaign. Now, if I look at active campaigns, I have a Memorial Day campaign, and if I want to see what the detail of that campaign is, what the status is on overall open rate, I can look at that as well. Now, what's happening now with these customers here, with these that have been sent the campaign, if they've already been opted in at the beginning of the relationship, they won't receive a double opt-in email unless they've opted out of those campaigns. The system manages that for you once again in the background. If a customer calls you to say, hey, I don't want to receive a Memorial Day campaign, so you can just go ahead and unsubscribe that campaign also. Okay, and now he's no longer in there. Okay, any other questions around this? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, Jasmine, here. And do we have, we're going to be following through on the next webinar. And if you guys have anything that you want to cover on the next webinar, please let Jasmine know in the chat before we finalize this call. The reason why is I want to make sure that I am talking about what you guys that are assisting every week are doing right now, so you can get the biggest benefit from these webinars as we hold them. We're planning on moving over to actually creating like another type of web form, which is a JotForm web form next week. And we built an interface with JotForms to create customized forms that connect through Score CEO, as well as probably creating an actual campaign with regards to the form as it can integrate with a lead with a inbound lead tool such as ConvertKit or JotForms or something like that. Now I see. 1 second. Any plans in the works for are there any plans in the works for other language options? Not necessarily that Scorsia is doing translations or anything, but for example, Japanese, Scorsia won't recognize it and characters look like, yeah, you're correct. We have support for Spanish right now, and the jury's still out on what other languages we're going to support, but we're thinking of supporting French. We're thinking of supporting Japanese. We're thinking of supporting Portuguese. We're getting a lot of requests for Portuguese, but we will support others. Mandarin, Russian, and Ukraine. That's interesting. I don't think that would be difficult to do, but Michael, why don't you and I have a conversation on that? Maybe book a small call and we can talk about it, and we can see what your needs are there, and we can talk to maybe one of our developers to see what that time frame could look like when we support those other languages as well. Any other questions? Okay, great. So let me get back to the webinar here. If any of you need to go ahead and book some time with me, feel free to do so. There's no cost to that at this time. Just take advantage and pick my brain as much as you can to help your business maintain compliance and have the opportunity to be successful. Jasmine, if you can copy that link into the browser, I would appreciate it.
Josh, D wants to know if you did the BK site.
What?
D wants to know if you did the BK site. If you
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We've edited his site. Brian had his own developer, and we realized that their developer really wasn't doing the job, and we've taken some of his site and edited and created some sales funnels for him so that he can maximize recruiting, affiliate referral relationships, and the onboarding process for his customers. So the answer to that is no, we didn't create the website, but we're hosting it for him now because his other developer just really wasn't doing the job. You'll find that at Scorsio, we have some services that you may want to inquire about where we have authority blog posting and building. We have on-site SEO services based on keyword strategies that we develop for our customers during the SEO, the on-site SEO phase of that. And we normally target anywhere between 50 to 100 keywords and at the beginning or more, depending on how many the customer is willing to go after. But we've been successful enough to triple or double or triple SERPs and keyword presence and ranking on keywords within 2 to 3 months, and normally start double or tripling traffic between the 3rd and 6th months, just organically. So we provide that service. It's not a service that we really focus for everybody on. We have to make sure that the partner that's going to do that is willing to work with us on this, because there are some things that the partner needs to do. But the CROs that use all of those services, our social media services, our posting service, and it's just not posting to post. If we've got in Score CEO a newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks, right? And we have a blog for that same CRO that goes out every week. Plus, we have new lead nurturing campaigns and things of that nature. We're managing all the inbound digital marketing strategies for them, and we're posting on their Facebook page, and we're getting campaigns approved by that CRO. So we're fundamentally doing all the work for them, and we have a robust team that does that. We have a UI UX developer. His name is Ali. We have our content people, which is Warisha, Jasmine, and Almas. We have web developers. Wakar we call him Wiki. He does that, and I manage that process. So if you're interested in talking about that, book a call and we can talk about it. It is a good service, and it is a service that makes the cash register ring and gives you focus to really focus on providing great immediate closing on your leads and future customers. And it also lets you focus on what's really producing the revenue in your business, on servicing them and keeping them longer. And we take that off your plate, as well as our dispute processing also. So any of those services that you may be interested in elaborating and talking more about, just book a call with me, and we can get on a call quickly and see if it's what you need. Any other things that we need to discuss, Jazz? Awesome. So next week we'll see you at the same time, same place. We had a few people when it was 1 week to the next. We'll continue to go on the next week as well. If we see that the audience sustains itself and it's not increasing, we'll probably move to 2 weeks and figure if that's the better frequency on these webinars. Thank you for your participation today. And once again, if you need to talk to me, just click on the link and book a call. Have a great day, everyone.
Sharing my picture, Josh.
You're on there.
I know. Take me off.
All right, I'll let you go. Bye-bye.
Bye.